don't always have to be like a massive doomer about things, you know? Hi, what's up? If you don't know me already, I am Cozy, and I made a video the other day about how agencies are not really super great for us as VTubers. I feel like a lot of the time, a lot of these agencies are kind of predatory. There's a lot of things that we don't think about when it comes to agencies. You could check out that video if you're interested in it, but this video is going to be kind of the opposite about what we can learn from agencies and what they do right. This video was actually spawned by a comment from Yurise on the last video. It's interesting that VTubing ended up so agency-centric. If you asked me in 2017, I'd have assumed that VTubers would work the same way that most YouTubers and streamers do, working largely for themselves and only bringing an agency on if they get big enough that they need help managing the business. Niji Sanji and especially Hololive seem to have defined VTubing culture early on as something that involves a lot of collaboration and big projects, and I wonder if the swarm of small agencies we now see are the result of aspiring VTubers seeing these established agencies and seeking a similar family-like atmosphere for themselves to what they see in these established agencies portraying. And I wonder if the same thing, the dominance of Hololive, would have happened if, at the start of VTubing, models and rigging software were already very accessible to indies. So this comment is actually really interesting to me, because there's something that I have thought about VTubing and also about streaming in general for a long time now. A lot of the time, with larger streamers, they will have gotten popular with a group. So you'll see things like OTK or like offline TV or stuff like that in the normal facecam market. Or you'll see things like the Among Us boom and those like friend groups that went along with it. You'll see things historically such as like the Yogscast. All of these things were like established groups of people that got popular together in like a... Usually it'll happen in like a trendy sort of way. Usually some sort of game will pop off and then they'll all kind of get together and play that game collectively, and then they pop off together. The main point of this being that I think that there's something to these content groups. I think that there's something that viewers are really looking for with these content groups, with seeing all of these cute friendships and stuff like that, with seeing the funny interactions between them, that draws people in. And I think that Hololive and Niji Sanji are some of those groups that like help to push that process along. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of VTubers that have made their name as a solo name yet. There are, of course, facecam streamers that have popped off on their own, and it is possible to pop off on your own. I think that there are some creators that have made a name for themselves without having to be inside of an agency. I mean, I think one of the big names that we can all think of right now is probably Fillion. There's also Punkalopi. I would say that Bao probably created a name for herself on her own without worrying about any sort of group or friend group or anything like that. I think that there are some VTubers that have done this, but it's so much smaller of a percentage versus facecam content creators. I mean, off the top of your head, you can probably think of a million different solo content creators that you see in the facecam market. I mean, Markiplier, PewDiePie, there's all those big names, but there's also a lot of smaller names that you can probably think of that just don't really interact with a lot of other people and still have a pretty large following. What I think might be going on with VTubing is I think that people might see things like Hololive and Niji Sanji, and they might think that, yeah, they really do need that like familial group so that they can have interactions and they can have people to play off of. I think that a lot of VTubers are really shy, and I think that having that sort of network of people that maybe you've been watched for a long time, like maybe you've been paying attention to Hololive for years at this point or something, and you just want to interact with them and you want to be with them and you think that you can get along with them. I think that people are looking at those sort of things and they're thinking, I need that to be able to succeed, because that's the main thing that we see. Which, of course, that kind of goes back to what I was saying in my first video, that I think a lot of these agencies, a lot of these smaller agencies are using the fact that people have only really seen these big agencies and these big familial things, and they're trying to use that as a way to draw people in. They're trying to be like, oh yeah, we'll be with you every step of the way, and we'll help you, and we'll protect you, and we're gonna form a family together, and stuff like that. Usually in companies, you don't really want to hear the whole "we're a family" sort of thing, but in a content space, hearing "we're a family, we'll stand by you, we'll be there for you" is something that I think a lot of people are seeking because it really is scary sometimes to be a content creator, especially on your own. But still, of course, I don't think that this is a necessary component to streaming. I don't think that you have to form a content group. I don't think that you have to be in an agency to be able to succeed. I think that a lot of VTubers are just afraid, and they're just worried that if they don't get into these big things, if they don't find this content group, they're not going to be able to grow on their own. And I think a lot of that comes down to, sometimes people just aren't really confident in themselves. Sometimes that's what they're seeing and they think that that's the only way. Sometimes that's what the agencies are telling them is the best way to do things. I think a lot of people need to step out of their comfort zone and try and find their own friend groups or try to just do things outside of the box. Just try and create videos, try and do things that don't necessarily need other people to be there. I think that a lot of people would succeed a lot better if they could just step out of the box and start doing those sort of things. But at the same time, of course, they do have something to them. I think if you are trying to replicate that kind of success with a friend group sort of situation, you gotta talk to people. You gotta go out there and make friends. You have to try and push yourself into other people's spaces. Well, I mean, obviously not push yourself, but you have to try and open yourself up to other people. You have to try and talk to other people. You have to try and get to know other people. You can't just drop in someone's DMs and go, "Hey, collab with me." But you can try and join into their streams sometimes, see what kind of stuff they like, offer to play similar games as they are playing, and see where that goes. I said this was going to be a video about the good points of agencies, but realistically that was the main one that I was going to talk about. There are a couple of other things, of course. There are things like the merchandising. There are things like events. There's things like the Hololive sports festival sort of things that they put on in their Minecraft servers and stuff like that. It can be hard to find a large enough group to be involved in things like a Minecraft server, a Rust server, and stuff like that. And, it can be a really good place to get your start. I'm personally in a Minecraft group right now, and we've been doing a couple of collabs here and there on the side and stuff like that, and it has helped me grow, and it has helped me reach a different audience, and a lot of those interactions with the people who are already in that group does help me. So I know that there are things that you might really be hoping to get out of these agencies. Just keep in mind the things that I said in my last video. Just try and make sure that you're doing it in a safe way. You're trying to look into the agencies that you're trying to apply to. Just make sure you're trying to get into them for the right reasons. And you're not necessarily trying to get into them just to join into the friend group, but because you think that you have something to offer to them as much as they have something to offer to you, The same thing kind of applies to any sort of content group. I feel like a lot of the times people will know if you're just there to get clout and if you're just there to grow. So you really have to come into this in an authentic kind of way. You have to look at these people as potential friends. You have to think about how you're going to get along with them. You have to care about them, right? You can't just be thinking of them as a moneymaker. As a final note, don't be one of those people that is constantly just waiting for someone to invite you to one of these sort of friend circles or invite you to one of these groups. If you think that you're going to get along with someone, you have to put in that effort. And if you're worried about someone not liking you, honestly, don't even think about it. Just go for it, because I think that is going to result in a lot more than you expect out of it. I think that a lot of the time we're afraid of things like that. I was afraid for the longest time of trying to interact with so many people in the VTubing sphere because I felt like nobody liked me. People were really annoyed by me. I had too many opinions. I had too many thoughts. I said too much stuff, whatever the heck it is. I was worried about it, and at some point in the last year, I broke out of my comfort zone, and I decided to just make a server and invite people to it and start jumping in calls all the time and jumping into other people's servers. And now more people invite me to more things, and they want me to be around, and they care about me, and they're enjoying my company. So you gotta just put yourself out there. You have to go for it. Wow, this one really was unscripted rambling. Anyways, I hope you liked this. I hope it kind of helps to showcase one of the good points of an agency in that group collaboration is something that can help in content creation and it can help push you further. You just need to be able to step out of your comfort zone. You need to be able to find your friends. You don't need an agency to give you that, you know? So yeah, thanks for stopping by and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye!